listen, I love our mothers and I want to honor them. Okay. This is not going to be bashing about what our moms didn't tell us or anything like that. But some of our mothers survived men. They were not in relationships with healthy and emotionally safe men. And so we inherited their survival scripts. And today I want to talk about what your mom should have told you about dating. If you're new here, welcome to Heal the New Sexy, where we discuss all things healing, self-love, and relationships. My name is Samantha. I'm a licensed therapist and coach. This upcoming weekend on Saturday and also the 21st of February and the 28th of February, we will have group coaching. If you haven't signed up for group coaching, why not? You get to submit a question. I will answer your question. And this video was really kind of sparked by some of the questions that I've had in group coaching and being a therapist. And many women that I work with, they're like, my mom didn't tell me this, or I wish someone would have told me that. So I want to share some things with you that I would share if I had a daughter. Now, first, I would tell her that, or I would encourage her to live the most vibrant life that she could live. I would encourage her to center herself in her life. Outside of God, she is the center of her life. She is the queen of her kingdom. And even if there are things that I didn't agree with, that she should still go out there and live a vibrant and passionate life. I would encourage her to make mistakes. Make the mistake, but learn the lesson quickly. Many of us really fear making mistakes because of things that have happened in our childhood. So we want to be perfect, but I would encourage her to go and make the mistake. I've told coaching clients, go out there and break something. Go out there and live a life where you have freedom. Give yourself permission. I would teach her to challenge societal norms. Society will tell you to go to school and then after that, rush and settle down. Even the use of settling down to describe relationships. I would tell her to challenge that. Yes, society says that you have a, what they say, that clock, you got a clock, right? That you need to have a child. But I would tell her she has the choice of whether she wants to be a wife and to be a mother. Okay, those are some of the things that I would tell her right off the bat. I want her to live a very vibrant and passionate life. I want her to find joy. I want her to learn the foreign language, to learn the instrument, to travel around the world. I want her to go as far and as high as she can and to know that there's no scarcity of good men available to her. Many of us date from a place of fear. But I would teach her to date from a place of confidence, okay? That's where I would start with my daughter. The other thing I would let her know is that a man choosing you is not a prize. Some of us were raised to believe that if he commits, that you won. If he marries you, you made it. If he stays, you're valuable. I would let her know that you alone, as a single woman, are valuable. And just because a man marries you doesn't change your value. Society will look at you and deem you more valuable because you're married. But you have to know that daughter is the most important title that you will ever have. And I mean, a daughter of God is the most important title. And I know we have some women that are Muslim and Jewish and from different backgrounds. But whatever entity that you worship, daughter is the most important role that you will ever have. Okay, listen, this is the truth that your mom may not have told you. A man choosing you does not make you chosen. Some of our mothers were taught that being selected by a man was security, but security without peace is not security. Dating is not about convincing a man to stay. It's about evaluating if he is emotionally safe. So there are many women, and you may know women, or you may be watching this and you're divorced, right? You know that just because you get married, that doesn't give you security. That doesn't guarantee safety. Okay? It doesn't guarantee that, right? I would teach her that she does not have to endure to be loved. Many of our mothers normalized struggle in relationships. They called it, that's just how men are. Sometimes I work with clients, they're like, men are so stupid. I'm like, well, why do you want a man if you think he's stupid? You got to begin to challenge how you view and see men. And the reason why some of us see men negatively, or we accept a lot of negative or poor behavior from men, is because of the scripting of the shaping that happened to us. Okay? Right? Your mother may have said all couples go through it, or she may have said just pray about it. And while faith matters, right? There's that scripture that 1 Corinthians 13 that describe love. It doesn't describe love as being abusive, as being painful, as being neglectful. It doesn't describe love as a man weaponizing incompetence. That's not how it describes love. So there's some things that you endure in relationships and there's some things that you don't. The two of you may endure the pandemic where people lost their jobs, or even now in this economy. But what we don't endure is one partner showing up, not doing their very best. Okay? Love was never meant to feel like constant anxiety. You don't have to be ignored or be yelled at, mistreated, financially abused, emotionally neglected, right? To prove that you are loyal. Endurance is not the same thing as emotional maturity. And many of us left our parents' homes, went to date in our 20s, got with a man that we shouldn't have been with. And some of these unhealthy beliefs showed up in the relationship. You don't have to endure love. I want you to experience a gentle love, a respectful love, a reciprocal love. That's what I want you to look for. And that's what we should be looking for now. That's what your next love will be, a gentle love. And many of us have never experienced a gentle love, but that should be the goal. Okay? I would teach my daughter, and our mother should have taught us, that chemistry is not compatibility. Nobody told us that butterflies can actually be anxiety. There's a book called Attached that you may want to read if you haven't, okay? If chaos feels normal, then calm will feel boring. Many of our nervous systems have been trained, right? There's a term called neuroplasticity, and you might want to look into it. Many of our nervous systems have been trained. Our brain has been trained. That's why I always say we're dating here. We're dating logically. We're not dating from our nervous system. Your mom may have told you to follow your heart, but she should have told you to follow patterns. Is he consistent? Is he accountable to you? Does he repair after conflict? And I did a video about that, repairing after conflict. Compatibility is about shared values and emotional regulation, not sparks. And sometimes even in your dating, you may say, well, he's a good man, but if you don't share values, it's ultimately not going to work. The two of you should have the same values. The two of you should have the same standards. The two of you should have the same beliefs and understanding. It should be the same. And guess what? It shouldn't just be dictated by him. This is your life. You get to determine what experiences that you want. I have a classmate who has a YouTube, and for all my single girlies, I always encourage them, like, in your house, decorate the house that you want. I think her YouTube is like owned by Femme. I think that's what it is. And she has you've probably seen her, not just on YouTube, but you've probably seen her on TikTok and on Instagram. She has the pretty house that's just pink everywhere, right? Like you want to be able to decorate your house. You want to live your life the way that you want to live it. And in therapy and in coaching, I am encouraging women all the time to live their life. What I see quite often is that you go to school, you graduate, you may even have children, but you stop living. Why? Because you're waiting on a man to fulfill you and complete you. You should be complete on your own. Your life should be satisfying to you. Then you find partnership. Okay? Next thing our mother should have taught us, and what I will teach my daughter, you are allowed to have standards. Some of us were raised to be grateful for the bare minimum. That's why there's a lot of pushback when a woman says, no, I don't want to go on a coffee date. I'm not saying there's anything wrong, but your standard is your standard. If you don't want to go on a coffee date, you don't want to go, and you shouldn't be pressured to go. If that's not what you want to do, you don't want to do it. Okay? Right? Some of us were raised again to be grateful for the bare minimum. So if he has a job, if he hasn't been to jail, he says he loves you, we were taught that was enough. But standards are not arrogance. You're not asking for too much. You're not too much. And anyone who comes to your life and tells you that you need to lower your standards in order to be with a man, no. Nobody's going to Harvard saying, you need to lower your standards to let me in. Yes, I got a 2 on the SAT. So what? You should let me in. So why would you allow a man to get in or have a relationship with you and he's not meeting your standards? The military got to cut off from for you to be able to enlist. You got to be a certain weight, and you have to have a certain age. Ain't nobody saying, listen, I'm 66, let me in the army. The job you got certain standards and qualifications. If somebody listen, okay, sure, I want to be a surgeon, but I ain't never go to medical school, but you should still let me do surgery. Sorry for knocking the thing. So do you see what I'm saying? Tell me down below, Smithy. I see what you're saying. Do you see what I'm saying? Your standards are your standards. Either the man meets your standards or he doesn't. You shouldn't feel bad for your standard. You are allowed to say, I require emotional availability. I require consistency. Your standard, you may be a single woman with no children. Your standard may be, I want to be with a man who doesn't have any children. Okay, fine. That's your standard. That's your standard. Who are we to argue with you and your standard? Listen, I require a man who can apologize and change his behavior. Not just promises and he doesn't change his behavior. I require a man who doesn't think that he has to test me to test my loyalty. I require a man who has discipline. He ain't out here, I think my girlfriend always says, swinging it high and spreading it low, or something she be saying. I require a man who doesn't want to do 50-50 and he wants to take care of his wife and his children. Stop letting somebody talk you out of your standard. Your standard is your standard. I require a man who grew up in the same socioeconomic status as I did. Or if he did it, he understands the importance and he wants to provide this for his wife and his children. Your standard is the standard. Here on YouTube, when you get to 1,000 subscribers and 4,000 watch hours, then they say you can be monetized. Nobody is saying, YouTube, that's not fair. You should allow me. No, if a man begins to negotiate with you as it relates to your standard, that is not your man. You don't negotiate your care. We're not negotiating our care. Either he cares for you the way you teach him to care for you, or he's not your man. No man will come in your life and want you to lower the standard. Only in society do they make that okay. Anywhere else, they don't lower the standard. In order for me to be a therapist, I had to get my bachelor's degree, my master's degree. I had to do supervision. I had to do all of that. I had to take tests. Okay? The other thing our mother should have said, or I'm going to tell my daughter, you're not responsible for fixing him. Many of our mothers were caretakers. They stayed with potential. They prayed for transformation. And they mothered grown men. Listen, there's nothing more unattractive in my mind when you have to raise your husband and he really performing like your son. And there's a lot of grown men out there looking for mothers that they can sleep with. But you're not responsible for fixing him. I told someone I work with just today, if he never changes, could you be with him? Because many women get with a man and you're trying to mother him into being the man that you want him to be. Now, are there changes and tweaks that we all have in relationships? Sure, because you're moving from an individual to becoming interdependent. So you're moving from being selfish to now being concerned and considering someone else. But if you feel like you got to raise him, if you're a therapist and you know that that man would be better suited to be on your couch than in your bed, that's not your man. I didn't watch all of it, but Clifton Powell was talking about, a woman needed to teach him how to love. No, the man for you will know how to love you. He will know how to respect you. He will know and understand the basics of a relationship. When you go to a house, when you go buy a house, the house is already put together. You just put your touch on it. You paint the walls, you hang up the pictures. You don't go to a house and buy a house and now you got to put the plumbing in. Unless you're getting a fixer-upper. And why would you want to be in a relationship with a fixer-upper? Many women question, like, I've put in all of this relationship and then he left me. And now you're heartbroken because you invested and he left you. He was a fixer-upper. He was a build-a-bay. And you got a question to ask yourself, why am I even attracted to the man that I got to fix? Listen, I want you to know you are not what they said, we are not rehabilitation centers for broken men. You're not his spiritual covering. Sometimes women will be like, I'm more spiritual than he is. I'm trying to push him. I'm trying to push him in the direction. No. Either you're going to accept him for where he is, or you're going to move on. And if this is not the type of man that you want to be with, then move on. His relationship with God is his relationship with God. Okay? You're his partner or you're nothing. Dating is about observing, not fixing. If you got to fix him in dating, he's not your man. We both should come. Okay? What our mother should have taught us and what I would teach my daughter is that your peace is more important than being picked. Some of our moms did leave the relationship because they couldn't financially, because they were afraid. And I still see a lot of fear as it relates to dating and relationships. They were taught that marriage was everything. I even still see some fear mongering online. A woman leaves her marriage because her husband was emotionally neglectful. The Bible says you're only supposed to leave because of infidelity. Do you really think the Lord you serve wants you to suffer in a marriage? Y'all may disagree with me, and it's okay. It's okay. I don't think God said your marriage is not your cross. And you know what bothers me? I see more women have adopted their marriage is their cross. You know, they say things like, marriage is not supposed to make you happy. It's supposed to make you holy. They give all of this rhetoric for suffering. They give a whole lot of rhetoric for suffering. And I see that. And some of us has inherited that. Your marriage is not your cross. It shouldn't be your burden. And why is it that this is fed to women? So that man could cheat, he could lie, he could steal, he could be financially abusive, he could have addiction, he could do all of that. And this is just the cross I'm supposed to bear. I got to pray for him. I got to cover him for him. I got to fight for my marriage. But he ain't fighting for his marriage. I want you to know that you have options that your mother did. You have your own money. You could go to therapy. You can leave. You can start over. You don't have to tolerate emotional chaos to avoid being alone. And let's be honest, our mothers were really alone in their marriage. There was a man in the bed next to them, but they still were alone because that man wasn't a partner. Okay? Being single is not a failure. Staying in dysfunction is. And there are many women whose mothers and aunties and whatever stayed in dysfunction to be with a man, to have a man. But you didn't have freedom. They didn't have a relationship. They weren't blooming in their marriage. They were suffering. They were struggling. They were shrinking. They were minimizing themselves. They were slowly dying in relationships that were not healthy for them. You should grow and evolve and change in your marriage. He should be your biggest supporter and cheerleader. He should be clapping for you. That's my wife. My wife is a Supreme Court justice. My wife has opened her own business. My wife is an innovator. My wife is a composer. That's my wife. I did that. I push her. I support her. Do you see when Fantasia's husband proposed to her again after 11 years? Do you see what he said to her? How he's going to push her to be everything that she was meant to be? He should do the same for you, and you should do the same for him. He's going to push you. It says, when it says iron sharpens iron, because we're going higher. Not we're settling, we're going higher in this relationship, in this marriage. If I'm here as a single, I should go higher. It says one can put how many to flight? So how many can two? You're not settling into a marriage. You're not settling into a relationship. You're going higher. And the issue is, for many of us, the reason why we can be talked into settling is because we are not secure in ourselves as an individual. It's amazing how a woman can be single and they look at her one type of way, but a man can be single and he's a bachelor. Why is a man's singleness praised, but a woman's singleness is not? Why is a man, seen as still desirable as he ages, but a woman is not? That's society. That's not the truth about who you are. Okay? I would tell my daughter, and I wish our mothers told us, marriage is not the goal. Wholeness is. Over here, we are healed, whole, and we are sexy. Okay? Culture told our mothers that marriage was a destination, but many of them were married and lonely. Marriage is only healthy when the two partners are. When two whole people come together, that's when marriage is healthy. Or when two people come together and they are still determined to do their work, that's when marriage is healthy. There's a psychologist named Esther Perel. She does a whole lot of work as it relates to relationship. She often discusses modern relationships require emotional awareness that previous generations were not taught. That's why I know I receive a lot of pushback when I'm giving relationship advice, especially as a single woman. How single women keeping women single? How you gonna give advice you haven't even gotten married yet? Just because a woman is married doesn't mean that she's giving, or a man is married doesn't mean they're giving healthy, sound advice. Okay? So there's a level of emotional awareness that just this generation is gifted with that previous generations were not. Right? The goal is not just the wedding. The goal is emotional safety, mutual respect, shared vision. Many of us were taught, especially as Christian women, that you submit to a man. But you need to know what the vision is. You get to pick the vision that you submit to. You get to pick the vision that you submit to. And when you're dating and courting that man and he tells you his vision and it's not one that you mesh with, it's not one that aligns with your purpose, then you tell him, hey, you're a great man. It's been nice getting to know you. But I think that you would be more aligned with someone else. And there's nothing wrong with that. Okay? And the goal is also peace. And often we hear men talk about something. I want a woman that's peaceful. I want a woman that's peaceful. Peaceful doesn't mean that we don't disagree. Peaceful doesn't mean that I just shut up and be quiet and go with the flow. That's not what it is. Peace is something we both have. Okay? Marriage should enhance your life, not consume it. Listen, our mothers should have taught us, and I'm going to teach my daughter, you can disappoint people and still be a good woman. Go mess something up. Go make some mistakes. Okay? Some of us are still dating to make our mothers proud. We don't leave people because we think to ourselves, what will people say? Listen, behind closed doors, you don't know how anybody's living. You only know how you're living. If you're making dating decisions based off of what other people think, you're going to lose in dating and relationships. You date based off of what satisfies your soul. You date based off of what satisfies your soul. You can end the marriage. You can end the engagement. You can end that long-term relationship. You can say no to men your family like. Do what you want to do that makes you happy. There are going to be people that, girl, I would never do that. Girl, he's a good man. Girl, why you, oh my gosh. Meanwhile, you don't know if they're happy in their marriage. You don't know if they are giving you sound advice. Recently on TikTok, there was a young lady who called off her wedding because she learned that the man had 7 kids. They were already about to get wedding date set, wedding plan, and she found out he had those kids. She said, no, ma'am, I'm not going to allow myself to marry a man with 7 kids. There was a woman who found out that the man she was getting ready to marry owed $67,000 in back child support. She said, no, I am not getting ready to marry him. I am not going to do it. She broke off the engagement. I am not going to move forward with a man who doesn't take care of his, not just financial, but he's not taking care of his children. And many women have gone through with the wedding because what will people think? We've spent the money. No, at any point, it's a no for you. It's a no. Don't worry about what people will think or what people will say. Don't worry about the judgments of others. There's only one judge. That's the Lord. That's the only person you're going to have to give an account to as it relates to your life. So do not have people trap you in a relationship, in a marriage that's not healthy for you. You know it's not healthy for you. You know that you feel like, is there not more to a relationship? Is there not more to a marriage? You are fighting against yourself to stay in the marriage. Don't do that. Or to stay in the relationship. Don't do that. Don't do that. But you got kids together. You know, what about your family? Leave. Leave. If you feel like that relationship is bondage and you are bound and you are stuck and you cannot breathe, go. I would tell my daughter, if that relationship is not satisfying your soul, get out of there. These women breaking up these homes. You got one life to live. You got one life to live. Be selfish with your life. Be intentional with your life. Don't be in a relationship because I think he's a good guy. I like him. Y'all have a child together. The best relationship advice I got was when I got pregnant. And the church mother said, tell her she don't have to marry him. Because many people in the church, and I've told clients this, just because you get married don't change that you got pregnant before you had that baby. You're marrying that man. This may be for somebody, so I'm going to go ahead and tell you. If you're pregnant right now and you feel pressure to marry that man, don't marry him. See, we will get married because that makes society okay with what we did. God knows when he assigned that soul to that baby that's in your womb. Don't marry that man because that'll silence the mouth of society. Because guess what? It'll be something else tomorrow. They'll be talking about somebody else tomorrow. Oh yeah, they moved on from you. But you done married that man that you had no business marrying. Maybe you were just supposed to be with that man because whatever is on him, his life and his bloodline and your life was supposed to get together to create that baby. Outside of that, that's all it is. And I know people will be like, Smithy, you ain't supposed to have no baby out of wedlock. Well, guess what? If that was the case, why did God assign the soul? God knew y'all wasn't married. Well, let me say this. Sex is what makes you married. It's not the license. But God also knows what's going on in our modern dating. So guess what? He assigned that baby to you. But you don't make a situation worse by marrying a man so that people will be quiet, so that people don't judge you. Baby, if they judge Jesus, they're going to keep judging you. They judged Jesus and they crucified him. Live your life that satisfies you. Okay, you got pregnant. All right, take responsibility for that baby. Raise that baby. I got pregnant 10, almost 11 years ago. I did not marry that man. That man was not my husband. Mess something up, take the lesson and go on about your business. Don't let society or anybody shame you or force you into being in a relationship or a marriage just because you have children. Don't do it. And there may be some people who disagree with that, and that's fine. But when I tell you the best thing that you can do for you is don't rush a marriage. If that's the man that you're supposed to marry, then whether you marry him today or tomorrow, it's okay. But you be sure, don't rush into something quickly just because you're pregnant or just because your family likes him or just because your biological clock is ticking. If this relationship is not satisfying your soul, and if you don't feel confident, if you don't seem seen, if you don't feel secure in the relationship, do not get in the relationship and don't marry that man. Now, I want to say this. I honor our mothers. Some of them did the very best that they could with the information that they have, but you have more information. I want you to date and choose the very best partner for you. I don't want you to date from a deficit. I want you to date from wholeness. We are the generation that has knowledge and information as it relates to attachment, as it relates to boundaries, as it relates to trauma bonding. Look at all this language we have that our mothers didn't have. So there's no excuse, right? There's no excuse for you to date from an unhealthy place. I want you to change the trajectory as it relates to the women in your life. They may have had unhealthy relationships, but you don't have to, okay? I want you to know that you're not behind, because some of you may be a little bit older. You're not behind. I'm 37. I'll be 38 this year. You're not behind. You're not too picky. If he doesn't meet your standards, that's not your man. We don't lower our standards. We don't. Did we say we was having a strict program this year? Okay. You don't lower the standards. You don't change your non-negotiables. Your boundary is your boundary. Be satisfied in your dating, but be satisfied as a single. I want you to grieve when that man comes in your life. You be like, oh my gosh, I was just having so much fun. Life was just going so well. I was getting to know myself. Oh my gosh. But he's such a good guy. And I'm going to give him the honor. Because he says, won't you give me the honor of being my wife? I'm going to give him the honor. Okay? You weren't made to survive love. You were made to thrive in love. All right? My name is Smithy. This is Heal the New Sexy. Thank you for rocking with me. Be sure to sign up for the membership. You can click the join button below, but also sign up for group coaching. This is the last month. This is the first and last month that I know of that I'm doing it this year. All right? I love you so much. Thank you for rocking with me. Talk to you soon.